and welcome to this New Year's episode of the Velocity Radio podcast. I'm here today, Ben, and I've got Matt with me. How are you doing, Matt?
How are we all doing? You alright, mate?
Yeah, all good. How are you this New Year?
Yeah, it's good, mate. We're kind of getting towards the end of January now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
kind of the initial, oh god, it's January, it's a New Year's, kind of passed a little bit.
Yeah.
And settling back into the New Year, settling into the New Year, sorry. But yeah, it's exciting, 2020.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, we kind of fell off the wagon in December, didn't we? We didn't have, well, I'm going to be honest and just say that we didn't have time in December to do a podcast.
It was, I mean, every month's busy for us, but December was particularly, just because it's a short month, so we've got, as you know, we've still got to do the amount of work in the same month, less time. But yeah, it was a busy month.
It was, because I mean, like kind of like how we work as an industry, like in December, it's kind of a bit of a struggle because we do close down. Well, I say we close down, we're still kind of like open but remotely. But over the Christmas period between Christmas and New Year, so to kind of cram everything within that first 2 weeks of Christmas, because Christmas felt really weird this year, didn't it?
It did. Like, it felt weird in terms of how the weeks landed. We still had our online assessments. We're still running a part-time course in December, so there was still a lot of workload going on, even up until we obviously closed down or semi-closed down, like you say.
But anyway, that's our excuse for not doing one in December. So. But yeah, we're back in the new year, back in January. So New Year, you know, this will be a busy period in fitness, especially with personal trainers and therapists. So in New Year's, we kind of like tend to have people say, right, it's the start of a new year, or in this instance, it's the start of a decade. So a brand new start of a decade. So what things am I going to do differently in 2020 compared to what I did differently towards the end of 2019. Probably New Year's resolutions is what people call it. So have you got any, Matt?
The only ones I've really got are for me personally in terms of my own fitness. Just because if you're a personal trainer, or if you're going to be a newly qualified personal trainer, this is really relevant because you're spending all your time and your energy on your clients, on their progression, on their own, their fitness, how well they're doing, how they're progressing. And almost over 2019, from the beginning, my training was like consistent and I was doing really well. And then kind of as the year's gone on, and it's kind of just taken more and more of a backseat. So my resolution was to kind of focus on my own training. So I mean, if you are a personal trainer and you're listening to this, you will probably be able to relate to some degree. And it's kind of one of them things where you focus on your clients. It's your income at the end of the day. And as I'm sure lots of people will say, fitness can sometimes take a bit of a backseat. So that's mine this year.
I can relate to that as well. It's a bit of a weird one because it's easy for people to think that you're a trainer, you're a personal trainer, you're into your fitness, so it must be easy for you to do it.
You're in the gym all the time, you can train whenever you want.
Exactly, but sometimes it's very easy to just... It's almost like going on holiday and then thinking that you can live on holiday. So it's like, I'll buy a house over here. It looks really nice, and then coming to a realization that actually I'm living over here now. I'm not on holiday, so I can't go out boozing every night.
Exactly.
I can't go clubbing out eating meals every night because it's kind of that's not the norm. If you know what I mean. So you've got to know where to draw that line, and being in the gym sometimes it can become quite monotonous.
I mean, there's only so many hours in a day, and it gets to the point where I would schedule in my own training in and around my work hours, working here, tutoring, and my clients as well, and then those gaps would be mine. So I'd set 3, 4, 5 sessions a week, and those hour slots would be mine. And then a client would message saying, "I'm really sorry, Matt, I can't make that time anywhere else you can do." And then I'd slot them in there, and then someone else would want to move, and then I couldn't fit in that. It just became a nightmare where I was sacrificing all my time in and around my clients, which is a good thing because it's obviously very business minded. But in terms of my own personal fitness and that kind of thing, it obviously, like I say, takes a bit of a backseat. So that's my little resolution this year, just to kind of be able to train and not allow my time to become anyone else's.
That totally makes sense. I mean, I haven't really got a New Year's resolution.
No?
No, I haven't actually taken time to sit back and think this is what I want to do differently. There's a couple odd things I want to do differently, but I'm not going to bore people with work and stuff.
That's a good thing though, because then that means that 2019 you were happy with in terms of things that you could potentially change.
I mean, a lot of things I could have changed as well, but I mean that's just on reflection. But
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really had to sit back and thought, right, this is what I want to change. This is what I want to do differently. If anything, I've changed for worse. I'm going to be honest with you, because towards back end of last year, I'm training like in my own, if I were to say my own personal fitness, I was training quite a bit. I've done one gym session this year, and it's the 20th.
Well, you were ill December.
Yeah, I were ill, and the workload were heavy, and again, it's just excuses. I'm sure a lot of people's heard them. It's like, what? You're not training? Yeah. You own a fitness education company. Well, guess what? Yeah, I'm not training.
Yeah. Do you know when we did Total Warrior last year?
Yeah.
That was what was running through my head.
Was it?
Like, because obviously, if anyone's done Total Warrior, it's not really, unless you're trying to beat a time previous year, you just go at like a pace. Obviously, we had young Brandon with us, whose calf was really tight or cramping up or whatever. So
it should be like a gazelle.
Yeah, well, you'd think so. But yeah, so we were obviously going through and doing that, and all the while I'm thinking, we've been doing this a good amount of time, and then we got our final time. You think, is that good? And then you get the leaderboards and the time, and you think, we should have been better as a training provider. We should have done better.
We should have. So I remember running that and just saying, actually saying to you guys, come on guys, we're a fitness company.
I remember saying, we're a fitness company, what are you doing? Yeah. And Brandon's there, like, holding his calf, and we're all fucked, and we're thinking, we should be doing better at this. But to be fair, we didn't train at all for it.
No, not really.
None of us trained at all for it, and I think that was very naive of us.
Yeah.
So I think if we do it again, it's unfinished business. We should
properly
do it.
We should be in that leaderboard top 10, but I mean, it should be top 10 in Leeds, not even in Leeds, in world.
In world, yeah. Set your goals high, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, but for my own personal reasons, in terms of a New Year's resolution, I don't particularly have that many. I have goals, but I wouldn't say that they're resolutions.
Yeah, that's just business, personal goals, whatever they are. Yeah.
If I were to kind of define a resolution, it's something that you just kind of want to. This is one specific habit that I want to do differently in the new year. Yeah.
And I think that's why healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, fitness is so big.
Yeah.
Because you have December, everyone overeats in December, drinks too much booze and that kind of thing, and then it comes to January and you're like, right, I'm going to get fitter this year, I'm going to be healthier. And that's why it's such a big thing, because of how bad the end of the year usually is compared to going into the new year.
I'd say just how social December is.
Social events, absolutely.
That is one thing, if I am going to say that I'm doing differently, is that I am doing dry January.
Right, okay.
So I haven't had a drop of liquor in January, which is...
Well, it's funny you should say that, because Brandon said he was doing it.
Yeah.
And then I think he failed after 4 or 5 days because he went out for a birthday.
He ended up in Big Fellas in Pontefract.
Yeah. So that's obviously Brandon's attempt. Maybe next year he'll last 6 days, 7 days.
He's too young in head, that lad. Right. So moving on, we've touched on New Year's resolutions. So let's say you're a trainer and you've got plenty of clients that are saying, right, I want to do this differently within the new year. What would you say, like, the best thing is as a trainer to help keep your clients on track with a specific resolution? So
the biggest thing really is what we teach across our qualifications is goal setting.
Yeah.
Huge fundamental in helping people stay focused, continue keeping healthier habits.
Yeah.
So goal setting is always a big one. It's something that I use as much as I can with clients.
Yeah.
And it just helps them kind of keep focused and keep motivated in the gym.
Yeah.
And it also allows, obviously, that point of satisfaction of when they reach that goal. Sorry, as well.
Yeah.
So there's the goal setting's really, really good. Not doing too much too soon is always a big one. So you kind of go into it with a mentality of, I need to eat like a rabbit. I need to eat loads of veg. I need to not eat a lot of calories total.
Yeah.
I need to start a fad diet. I need to, restrict everything and anything. Sorry. So, doing things small steps at a time, small habit changes.
Yeah.
And not kind of jumping in with both feet when it comes to doing, moving from one extreme to the other.
I was gonna, I think that's one of the big things, and I was gonna mention that actually. Just like, how realistic is your resolution that you're trying to do?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a resolution at the end of the day. It's not reinventing yourself. It should be one step towards making yourself a better person.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden saying like, right, my New Year's resolution is that I want to do this diet and stick to it for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Or my New Year's resolution is that I want to, I don't know, be vegan. that could be a massive change for you. So it's like, is that realistic to all of a sudden just at the turn of an hour on a bloody clock, all of a sudden you're no longer going to eat meat? Well, you need to try and maybe look to step process that and build the foundations and maybe teeter yourself into it rather than just saying bang, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, it's even like training. So people come into it going, right, I'm going to train 5 days a week or 6 days a week.
Yeah.
There was probably a reason as to why you weren't doing that before. Yeah, some of it's probably laziness or not having the motivation. But a big barrier for most people is time. There aren't obviously sometimes enough hours in the day. So if you say to a client, right, I want you to train 6 days a week, and they're like, I can only really commit to 2. It's never going to happen.
It's not.
And it's the same with food. If you say I want you to eat this many calories or cut this out or whatever, it's not long-term sustainable change.
So let's say an individual has a New Year's resolution, and these are some New Year's resolutions that you get. I just want to eat healthily.
Yeah.
Like eat healthy, a New Year's resolution might be very open like that, rather than it being like a really closed, right, specific thing.
Yeah.
I want to be able to run a mile in this time. Do you know what I mean? It's never really like that. What a resolution is. It's like I want to be healthier. I want to cut out alcohol. I want to move more. I want to get more active. I want to lose weight. They're all very open things. So it's always worth kind of like sitting down with that individual and looking at what they're currently doing. So the reason that's a resolution is because I want to build that habit into their lifestyle. So what are they currently doing? If they're currently not eating healthy whatsoever, then all of a sudden you can't just bang 5 a day into the diet and make sure that they're living on like a happy, healthy diet for 5 meals a day. I mean, that's probably not going to be the first step, and that's where a lot of people can tend to drop off with the resolutions, because they almost try to do too much too soon with it. Maybe just stick a fruit and vegetable in, a fruit for the breakfast and a vegetable in with the main meal in the day, and then build from there. It doesn't necessarily have to be bang, 5 a day, and healthy meals. And same with exercise.
I think it's worth getting the client's mind around that as well, because generally they'll want to do as much as they can.
They will, yeah.
And sometimes it's saying, no, take a step back, let's do one thing at a time, or do a couple of little things at a time. And then that way, again, long term, it's gonna be more beneficial. Yeah,
exactly. So resolutions, that's what we're going to cap off there. But don't you think resolutions are weird, aren't they? I know.
Yeah.
That like the turn of a year, you can see why people use that as a point of reflection and what they want to do differently. But why? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. If you looked into the history of it, there'll probably be something as to why it is. But I mean, there's the tagline that's been going on for around a few years now. You know, New Year, New Me.
Yeah.
And some people they start doing that and it doesn't work out, or some people do it and it works really well. But at the end of the day, just do what you fucking want. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah.
You don't need a new year to start a fitness journey or be healthier.
Yeah.
You just need a bit of motivation and a why. Why is it you want to be healthier? And everyone's whys will be different.
It's like we use these units as a point of reference: a year, a month, a day,
a Monday,
an hour, a minute. These are all just units for reference. At the end of the day, your human body doesn't give a shit if it's a new year, a new day, a new month. It biologically just works on what you're giving it. Do you know what I mean? And what you're doing with it. It doesn't necessarily matter about, your brain tells you it's Monday tomorrow, so therefore that means that you have to get out of bed at this time, go to the gym and do X, Y, and Z. Yeah, they're good things to write down in a list and try and get done to build into your habits, but your body doesn't give a shit. It's Monday. You could do that on a Saturday. You could do that on a Friday.
It's just a psychological view, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's how you approach it and deal with it. It's like your body doesn't know you're eating carbs after 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the rules of thumb and the laws that we all abide to.
Yeah. No carbs after 9.
No.
But yeah, it's how you view it, how you manage. I suppose your own approach to anything, whether it's fitness, work, whatever it is.
Exactly. So we're going to move on to his next point. We've kind of like bulleted off. We wanted to talk about resolutions because this is obviously a new podcast in the new year, new pod. As you've probably seen if you're watching video as well, new setting, hey up, swanky. We've moved out of the classroom and we've moved to my desk, my office desk, haven't we?
Ben's now got a whole office side, we'll say, to himself. As Graham's now moved into another office, which is obviously...
Yeah, we've had a few changes, but we'll keep that to ourselves. We've had a few changes.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we're so next one we're going to move on to is January and fitness, and how to kind of like capitalize on that as a trainer. Because most of the guys that are listening to this are probably either qualified through us, or the trainers and qualified through other people. And they might, well, obviously we're doing this in towards mid to the end of January, so they've kind of experienced maybe the first January in terms of the fitness industry. So as we know, January, and what we've talked about off the back of what we began the podcast with, resolutions, a lot of them can come down to health and fitness for people, for the majority of the general population. So therefore they might sign up to a gym, they get in contact with a trainer, they want people to help and guide them within that experience. So my question in regards to this is how to capitalise and put all of your eggs in the right place, if you know what I mean, in order to capitalise on this January influx. Because as we know, December can sometimes be relatively quite quiet.
Yeah, I mean,
then all of a sudden, bang, you've got a lot of people asking you.
Yeah, I think a big thing really, I mean, I know it's obviously kind of getting towards the back end of January now, but is not, you know, if you do invest in paid adverts, or whether it's physical or social media or whatever, is don't put all your eggs in one basket at the beginning of January. So what I mean by that is don't pay for a load of adverts or a load of marketing beginning, because 9 out of 10 people are skint in January. So what's likely to happen is people will start this fitness journey or whatever on their own, and then as it kind of grows and they kind of get into it, they may then feel a need for personal trainers. That's then I feel the best time to market yourself. So kind of mid-late January, even February. Offering whatever it is you're offering. That's always a big one. And then obviously motivating the client once they're working with you, obviously post Jan. That's a lot about, again, what we touched on was like goal setting.
It's like getting them to buy into your ways, your your vision for where they need to be. So that they'll come to you, they'll have a specific goal. I want to lose this, I want to get fitter, healthier, whatever it is, run, lift weights, whatever. So then you sit down with them, you go through active goal setting, you have a consultation with them. You actually find out the reasons in why they want to do it, how they want to do it, what times they want to do it for. And then just kind of like always reminding them of that. Because especially when it gets towards like the end of January, a lot of people might not be as well educated as what people within the fitness industry are. They don't understand how long it takes for change to happen. So they might need to be reminded constantly of an end goal and what the next goal is. So as you said, adequate goal setting helps to kind of like maintain that motivation past January into February. And I think that transition of a trainer to be able to kind of maintain your clients and keep them motivated throughout that period bodes well not only for your business but also bodes well for the client, and then that can relate back to your self-marketing and stuff like that. So
big thing again is reviewing the goals.
Exactly.
So don't set them out at the beginning with obviously the best intention, and then just kind of forget about them. Review them, monitor them, track them, make sure that your client or yourself, if it's your own goal, is obviously progressive.
Exactly. And let's think about like business wise for the trainers then. So again, like they may have just gone through the first December that can be relatively quiet, and then all of a sudden, bang! Like January's fallen, they're seeing an influx, in money coming in. So what to kind of do in that instance? So
I think it's about managing your money over periods where you know it's going to be higher and lower. So perfect example, generally December's quiet, it's a short month for most people. And then like you say, January's a really busy month. So it's about how you manage your time effectively when you're quiet. And obviously ensuring that you're on or in the gym as much as you can be when you need to be to obviously earn your income.
Exactly. And one of the biggest tips I've got for it is kind of like work out an average of what your need is, what your monthly need is in terms of money. Like we all have overheads, and especially being a trainer or a therapist, you know that you'll have a overhead of like a rent to pay. like tools to purchase. So it could be things such as like lotions or fitness equipment, marketing materials, all that type of stuff. So you know what your overheads are. So work out an average of what you need as your overhead, work out how much you then need as profit in order to live, and then just kind of like pay yourself that each month. Just because January may be a really good month for you doesn't mean that you then need to cash to like $2,500 in at the bank and think, hold on a minute, I'm booking an holiday, we're off away.
That's
or
it, yeah.
I'm off to spread this on a nice new car. I'm off to look to just kind of like bank a little bit of that maybe for maybe next December, and maybe look at the bigger picture and think like, right, okay, I want to do this long term, I want to do this as a profession, so I'm going to look to invest this money in myself, I'm going to look to invest this money back into an ISA account or something, just to kind of then know and put a bit of security behind yourself.
Absolutely.
Most companies that run have like months of money built up in a bank somewhere, just because then they know that if they can't pay wages one month, or they've had a shit month or something like that, then they've got a backdrop that they can go to.
Money in the bank, isn't it?
That's an interest-free money that you've got there. Do you know what I mean? It's not, you don't have to run to a bank and ask for a loan in order to pay stuff. So you need to be smart with your finances and kind of like, yes, it may be good this month, but you need to put a little bit away in order to for a rainy day.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a sense, and those rainy months that happen. So again, it may be really good in January. You probably will have a couple of drop-offs come February, and then come March time again, you may have a couple more drop-offs. So therefore, you need to ensure that you've got money there to sustain these drop-offs.
Yeah, realistic annual income over the year, not over a month or a couple of months.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what you need to think about. So yeah, that's perfect. I think we've kind of covered the transition period and how to capitalise on it.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to move into the next topic that I've got on the list, Matt, which is, it's kind of like something, a buzzword, and you're seeing a lot of marketing in it now, especially with like KFC, Burger King, all the fast food chains are coming into it. Veganuary.
Yes, yeah.
Veganuary. I'll make sure I say that right. Veganuary.
Yeah.
So this is where people, again, it could be a New Year's resolution where they may want to go vegan for January.
Yeah.
As to why, like, I'll straight away get my biases out of the way first. I mean, I'm no vegan. I've never been vegan. But I've got no kind of like, I'm got no vendetta against a vegan. Do you know what I mean?
Anti-vegan.
I'm not anti-vegan, but I've never done it myself. It's not a path that I want to choose.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to choose. It's just that I don't choose it. I enjoy my habits as what they are at the minute. But for Veganuary, we're going to touch on that as a subject. What's your kind of take on it, Matt?
I mean, it depends which way you look at it. If you look at it from a health aspect, whether you look at it from an economical aspect, or from a humane aspect, it's kind of, there's a few different ways of approaching it. From a health aspect, I know people that are vegan or eat less meat, less dairy, etc., who feel better for it.
Yeah.
I know people who've tried it and hated it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of them. If it fits you and how you feel and how much energy you've got and your performances in the gym and lifestyle, if it works for you, good, keep doing it.
Yeah.
But the problem I have with vegans is, I'm not going to trigger, don't worry. The problem I have is how they choose to be vegan, which is fine.
Yeah.
But how they then feel that you need to be as well.
Yeah.
And how much they tell you that you need to be as well.
That's not all vegans, though.
No,
I mean,
there's exceptions to the rule. Like
that's
everything.
your extremist vegan.
Yeah. And there's a lot on social media with, there's this, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's American, and he sits at a table with a microphone and says,
bit like us.
yeah, a little bit, yeah. It's like, enforcing the need for everybody to be vegan.
Yeah.
And I understand it from an ecological standpoint and all that kind of thing, but for me, it's not something that I've ever been interested in particularly. Like you've just said, I enjoy the foods I eat. I enjoy my eating habits in terms of the food I consume. I respect anybody who does it because it seems like a lot of hard work.
Does it seems tough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously there's the Greg's sausage roll now, which makes it a little bit easier.
Like Greg's sausage
roll,
yeah.
It's getting more and more popular. You go to restaurants, there's more vegan options. So I imagine the same as what being a vegetarian was 10 years ago, how difficult it was.
Yeah.
And, probably less time than that, it'll be a lot more common for you to be able to access these foods a lot more.
Yeah, it seems very common. It's a very kind of like buzz thing at the minute. Like, you don't get big corporation companies like a Burger King, Pizza, or KFC all putting a budget into veganism without there being a market there for it and a buzzword.
Yeah.
Obviously, do you remember when Greg's first came out with the vegan sausage roll? Piers Morgan outraged on Good Morning Britain and all that type of stuff. Well, I think look at the publicity that Greg's got off the back of that, and then
they've all handed out £300 bonuses to all the staff because they had the best week they've ever had.
Exactly, yeah.
So that speaks volume.
Down to a nice little vegan sausage roll. I can't say it were down to its festive bake because that wasn't that cracking, to be honest, with the turkey stuffing and cranberry bake that they had in December. But yeah, it becomes almost like a marketable ploy.
Absolutely.
Now, you touched on economic value there, but this is sometimes where I have a little bit of a ploy and something like I don't agree with in terms of doing veganism in January, especially if you're living in the UK, just because kind of like economically, what crops are we growing that are readily available to harvest in January? Go outside, it's frigging Baltic. Do you know what I mean? There's no broccoli being harvested. There's no strawberries being harvested in January. Don't quote me on broccoli, actually. I just went out on a whim and did that. But I can't imagine broccoli being harvested. If I go into Morrison's or Asda and I pick up the closest broccoli, it's coming from frigging Tanzania or somewhere.
Yeah.
So economically, how's that got to your plate? Well, it's been
transported.
It's been transported, exactly. It's either come by ship or flight over to you and being added to your plate. So you're probably going to do it for more health reasons if you're just doing it in January rather than the whole kind of like, I'm going to call it like a religious belief behind it with the ideology of not harming cattle and stuff. So, but if you are going to go vegan, just maybe think about doing it in June, July. You've got maybe
when everything's fresh in the UK.
Everything's
basically.
fresh, exactly. You've got some readily available sauces. You can pick organic UK sauces that are more economically available to yourself. Just because, I don't think January is again coming down to that whole resolution thing. Turn of a year, new me. Got an idea. Do you know what? Just because there's a new year on board, I'm going to do this differently.
Yeah.
Maybe have a look. Maybe if you are going to do it for the whole against the economic climate and all that type of stuff, maybe a bit later on in the year is probably a better idea. I was watching Ainsley Harriott Caribbean Kitchen at weekend. Did you watch that?
No.
I love a bit of Ainsley Harriott. He's got a great smile on him. But he were over in Jamaica, and Jamaica kind of like they live very much off the land over there, and that's everything that you were saying on TV anyway in regards to it. I've never been to Jamaica. He could be talking a load of bollocks for all I know, but he was saying in essence that if you're wanting an avocado in Jamaica, there's only certain months that you can have it, and then you can't have it, for example.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the UK, because we're quite an economically rich country, we'd never really have that problem. You can get avocados from anywhere at any time of year.
It's imported.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll get on to his next point with this, because it was something I raised in office. I think it was towards the end of last week with you, and we both never watched it.
No.
Game Changers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we can't talk veganism without talking Game Changers, and to be honest, I've watched 40 minutes of it this morning. Bad Monday morning. It were a bad Monday morning.
Bad start to the week.
Yeah. So it's just. I heard a lot about it. I heard a lot surrounding it, and a lot of people that kind of know have watched it and taken it to an extreme where it's opened their mind up, and they may look to start to play around with a vegan diet and stuff. So I kind of like made me think, well, I'll give it a little bit of a watch. I've always kind of like refrained from watching it just because of I do understand sometimes what a documentary can be like, especially on Netflix.
We talked about this last week, didn't we?
We did,
so
yeah.
We both agreed that we'd watch it before doing this podcast. I totally forgot, and Ben obviously this morning thought, shit, I need to watch it.
I need to watch it.
Yeah.
I need some content.
But yeah, we both had a lot of kind of external noise from it in terms of like people asking our opinions on it, people who we know have seen it. Again, like we've just said, I've not seen it. Not because I've avoided it purposely, but because of like what Ben's just said, I know how it will be, targeted, how people watching it will perceive it, and it's kind of one of them where it will almost, like Ben's just said, sway people into thinking, well, maybe I should try it, or maybe I should do it. But you've seen more than me, so.
Now, don't get me wrong, I like thought-provoking stuff.
Yeah.
But to be honest, ever since I've been into fitness and got in the fitness industry and worked my way through it, I've never really taken an interest of anything on TV to do with nutrition. Because the first couple of things that I watched, when I was first getting into it, you can become so... you can watch something when you're early on in your fitness journey and be... it almost like can take control of every
it molds
thought
everything
that you do, yeah. So like for example, like years and years ago, do you remember the TV show like Super Size Me? That documentary where a guy, what were it? I can't remember now. 40 days he ate McDonald's
I think him for a month he ate McDonald's for everything. He couldn't eat anything else.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you hate McDonald's after the back of it. But how realistic is it to eat breakfast, dinner, and lunch? Or breakfast, dinner and tea, being a McDonald's, you're not going to do that, are you? So you can be easily swayed when you're early on in your fitness journey in regards to anything that you watch on TV that's nutrition-wise. It's probably different now. The same can be with YouTube. You can have no fitness background and all of a sudden start watching 1-2 videos of this individual on YouTube that talks about fitness and nutrition should be done this way. All of a sudden the YouTube algorithm understands that you like watching this person, so then it's just showing their videos, giving you recommendations for their videos, and then all of a sudden you buy into their ideologies of this one thing. It can be very easy to be swayed by things that you watch now, I think.
I agree. Yeah. Both on YouTube, Instagram, just social media in general.
Yeah. Now, when we're talking about game changers in this one now, it is a very kind of like I'm going to call it like a single-minded documentary. It's a tunnel vision documentary.
Yeah.
A good documentary for me is where it takes opinions from both sides. And then it presents evidence in order to do it, and then it allows the viewer to make up their own conclusion in their own mind in doing it.
Yeah.
That's why I like watching Louis Theroux.
Yes.
When you watch his documentaries, because it'll go there, he'll live with an individual, he'll understand the reasons why they're doing it, he'll ask them questions that you probably... I know I wouldn't ask people.
He asks the questions that we all want to know.
Exactly, because they can sometimes be a little bit cringy and all that type of stuff, but it tends to try to understand it from both sides. It doesn't come up with his own bias. It doesn't come up with his own hypothesis with reasons as to why people do things a certain way.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it kind of is very single-minded in so it all first starts out with the guy, the UFC fighter. I forget his name now. The kind of talks about that he's gone on a journey and he got injured in UFC.
Not Nate Diaz, is it?
No, it's not Nate Diaz, but he goes on about Nate Diaz quite a lot. That's one point that I want to touch on. You'll know him, friggin' hell.
Let me Google it. I'll Google
it
if
you can Google it anyway. So anyway, this fella, he kind of goes on talks about his journeys and always enjoyed martial arts, got into UFC, all of a sudden started... then he got injured, something to do with both his knee tendons or something. And then he starts reading upon loads of research to try and help him recover quicker and get back into the octagon and all that type of stuff. And that's where he stumbled on the ideology of a plant-based diet. And then it kind of just stems from there, really. And he talks about this one, what's his name? That's the name, James Wilkes. He's actually a UK guy.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So straight away, put a UK guy on an American-based documentary, and just because he's talking with a UK accent, it makes him sound a lot more intellectual than anybody else that's talking. Do you know what I mean? So it stems into saying that he has this idea of... he stumbled on this one study where gladiators were deemed to be vegan. And then, like, the gladiators were supposed to be kind of like the cream of the crop back in the day, and like fighting in total like peak physique condition and all that type of stuff. Now, I'm gonna go out on a whim now and just kind of say, I genuinely think, take away the swords, the meat cleavers, and everything else that a gladiator had, and put them in a ring with a UFC fighter. I don't think the gladiator would hold up that well.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
now? Like now.
Yeah.
Nowadays. Regardless of what diet that they were eating. Now, I kind of... You can see why gladiators may have been vegan, because a lot of gladiators were kind of taken away from poverty and slavery, and in order to kind of like... I'm only going off like the actual movie Gladiator here with Russell Crowe. Watched that last night. No, I didn't really. But they were taken away from that. And if you were quite poverty stricken back in the Roman era, what foods are you going to be eating?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, you're not going to sit down with a nice ribeye and some potatoes, are you? If you can barely find a place to sleep at night. So you are basically going to be living and grazing off the land in regards to that. And I'm going to go out on another whim as well, and I'm not going to say every gladiator could run a friggin' 8-minute miles for 26 miles. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to say that they all had ripped six-packs.
Yeah.
They probably didn't. They were probably just mental fuckers that could just swing a sword at somebody and didn't give a shit. Do you know what I mean? That is a gladiator in a sense. It's what's between the ears that counts being a gladiator. So it kind of stems from there. I mean, anybody can dig up some bones, you know what I mean, and just kind of like give an idea of it, of what they were eating. Why you'd want to do that, I don't know, because we should be forward thinking and thinking in the future rather than trying to
what we used to do,
to eat what we used to do. It's like, what is this kind of what is this that we're really trying to figure out what we ate when we were back in a cave? Does it really matter? Does it really matter? Because I'm sure that our digestive systems have probably evolved over time towards the diets that we're eating. Do you know what I mean? So
there was a thing on Facebook, a video from a seminar, and there's a guy talking about how we've improved or progressed as humans, and it was about specifically sporting. And basically the guy said we've not actually got better in terms of our performance,
right?
But the people specifically doing the events have got better in terms of how they fit for that role. So it was saying that like swimmers have got taller.
Yeah.
It was saying that like long jumpers have got longer legs, and where you need to be shorter, people have got shorter, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just down to how you approach something.
Yeah.
Obviously nothing to do with nutrition at all.
Yeah.
But it just shows you that how one element there can progress and change things.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what some fucking gladiator was eating however many years ago.
Well, I'll raise this because you watch a lot more kind of like combat sports than what I do. Nate Diaz, he did show a lot of Nate Diaz on there, specifically when he was fighting Conor McGregor.
Yeah, because he won.
Because he won.
Yeah.
Now, if the role was reversed in that, and let's say fight number 2, did Conor McGregor win fight number 2?
He did, yeah.
So why wasn't... I mean, that might be after the documentary I filmed, you know what I mean? But why... It's just the thought, just because Nate Diaz won this one fight with Conor McGregor, does that necessarily mean a plant-based diet is the ultimate diet that you need to be eating?
In my humble opinion, it had nothing to do with nutrition.
Yeah.
It had... The biggest thing in the first fight, and people will agree or disagree, was the fact that Conor McGregor wasn't fit enough. His endurance wasn't there.
Right, yeah.
He gassed after 2 rounds.
Right.
And I think he submitted him in the 3rd.
Yeah.
It might be in the 2nd, I can't remember, sorry. But yeah, he gassed. His fitness level wasn't there.
Yeah.
And his level of fitness, again, isn't down to
yeah.
what he's eating. It's down to his training, his preparation.
Exactly, yeah. Cardiorespiratory fitness isn't necessarily down to like eating a certain food.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
then it opens up your lungs and opens up your airways.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, it kind of... It is that you're fueling it, but I mean, at the end of the day, your body can only work as hard as what it's conditioned to work as.
I mean, again, I've not seen it, but I've had people say it implies that he won that first fight because he was vegan.
Yeah.
Now, what about all the fights he's lost?
Yeah. I didn't want to go on about that because I didn't know if he lost a fight. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah. He's not got a great record in terms of. In fact, I'll find it now. But he's a brilliant. I love him, but he's not like, you know, his record's not amazing.
Yeah.
In terms of his win to losses.
And to be honest, if I were Nate Diaz, I would be very, very angry that people are even coming up with the idea that I'm a good fighter just because I'm only eating plants.
Yeah, he must have seen it because he's been involved in the documentary.
Well, probably, yeah, but I mean, I'd be pissed off at that. It's like, well, you don't think I'm just a good fighter because of all the hours of training that I've put in?
Yeah.
Because of that, I've dedicated my life to this combat and sport. You actually now think it's just because I eat this, it gives me the edge over everybody else.
Yeah.
And that relates to kind of everything that people look for in nutrition. Everybody's looking for this one thing, this one diet, this one medical cure, this one frigging supplement that you can take, this one way of eating after a certain time period. So yeah, that just kind of implies just this one thing that everybody's always looking for that gives them an edge, which could be down to nutrition, could be down to supplements, and we've all of a sudden got a big concentration and we're all wanting to find out this one way of how you should eat because it makes you do a certain thing. Well, it's probably because he's conditioned and he's a good fighter and he's just a tough bastard. Do you know what I mean? He's an hard bastard. That's why he's good in the ring. Do you know?
I mean, like we just said, his record. He's had 32 fights. He's won 20 and lost 12.
Right. Yeah. So it's not great, is it? So I mean, you're losing a third of your fights that you're swinging at.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, I think it's down to. I mean, I walked past. I was in a shopping centre yesterday. Yeah. And I walked past the Marks and Spencers.
Yeah.
And in the window, they had a load of like bags, handbags, backpacks.
Yeah.
And it said our new vegan friendly range.
Yeah.
So it's not just food.
Yeah.
You know, they're looking at it from a standpoint of like no animals was, you know, used or harmed or whatever. So it is just bigger than nutrition. And I think the reason a lot of people do it is for the kind of humane reason.
Yeah.
Because obviously like the slaughtering of animals and things like that, and that's why a lot of people go vegetarian.
Yeah.
And you find quite a few. I have. They go to them one step further to veganism.
Yeah. You can see it's step process in it.
Yeah.
Another thing, because like I say, I've only watched around about 40 to 45 minutes of this documentary. I didn't have time and I had to switch it off, which I'm quite happy about. Was that I were really seeing that they were implying, because again it's quite a tunnel vision documentary.
Yeah.
The general public at some point, and professional sport as well, believe that protein is used as a main fuel source.
All right.
For the body. Yeah. So again, it kind of implied that, and now I'm thinking protein a main fuel source for the body. So they were saying that professional athletes like to fuel up on meat prior to then doing a specific sport, and it had these three. I believe they were like American football players, and that they were talking about like how they'd go eat Popeye's chicken and all that type of stuff. Now, at the end of the day, I mean, I've worked in professional sport. I've been there. Do you know what I mean? Like playing football, and you're at a point. You are in peak physical condition anyway. You enjoy your sport. You're good at your sport because of what's between your ears rather than what you're initially fueling yourself with. Now, that's not to say that I believe that protein was a main fuel, because you know that. Your coaches tell you that. I mean, I weren't at frigging Man United. At the end of the day, I were at York City. But Stephen's still at that. Just because you're at a lower club doesn't mean coaches are thicker. Do you know what I mean? They've still got the degrees. They've still got the masters. They're there for a reason. And they don't... You know that protein is not a main fuel source. You know that protein's there for growth and repair and recovery, and you're told to eat in certain ways. Now, whether you do that as a sports person...
That's down to them,
isn't
it?
That's down to the sports person, massively.
Yeah.
Now, this whole idea that they were trying to throw about in regards to protein being a fuel, I believe that that's just wrong in a way that
I mean, everything that I know that you've taught me, that I've learned, that I've read about, that other people have taught me, that doesn't make sense at all. It
doesn't make sense, no.
And I'd be very interested to see, like, if they did some form of survey on, let's say, the UFC, yeah?
Yeah.
And if they asked everyone to write down what they ate before a fight.
Yeah.
Or the day before a fight.
Yeah.
And then see what amount eat more protein, what eat more fats and carbs. Because I'd be very surprised if it's anything other than fats and carbs.
Yeah.
And like you say, obviously it's growth, recovery, repair, that kind of thing for your protein. So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and they were kind of showing. They had these 3 American football players, and they all ate different burritos for breakfast. Don't ask me why. It's American.
Yeah.
So one of them were like a meat burrito, and then next day it were like a bean burrito, and then the doctor took blood samples of them, and they talked about kind of like how eating a plant-based bean burrito kind of like has a short-term impact on your endothelium of your like blood vessels, so it allows them to kind of like be able to open up more, dilate, and then more to allow more blood flow through. And it kind of showed you blood samples in a sense of it. And it physically had them there. Now, whether that's right, it's right. Whether that's wrong, it's wrong. But at the end of the day, it didn't tell you which of those players. Because I do watch a little bit of NFL, but I don't know if you've ever seen a roster of an NFL team. It's like 90 players deep. So I don't know every player like what you would do football or soccer here in the UK. It never actually told you which of those players was athletically more capable. You know what I mean? Which one had a longer playing history in the NFL, which one was the better player?
Position.
You know what I mean? What positions did they play? I mean, at the end of the day, if Cristiano Ronaldo turned around to you and said that, actually, now all of a sudden I do eat meat before playing a football game, does that now all of a sudden turn everybody's head and think, right, oh bollocks, I should be eating a steak before I play football because Cristiano Ronaldo eats a steak before he plays football? Answer to that's no. Cristiano Ronaldo's Cristiano Ronaldo. He's talented. He's talented. He's worked hard to get to where he's at, and he's extremely gifted at being able to strike a football. So, in regards to what he eats, I mean, it probably doesn't make that much difference of what he eats when he eats it. He is Cristiano Ronaldo for being Cristiano Ronaldo. Don't get me wrong. If he fuels his body before a game more efficiently to cope with the energy demands of the sport, he will have that edge. He will feel better. But it doesn't make him more technically gifted. It doesn't make him make better decisions in the game.
In a nutshell, what you're saying is that nutrition doesn't dictate skill in a sense that how you apply it on a field, on a game or whatever.
No,
it's more down to your energy levels.
More down to your energy levels. And you can kind of see why people get so caught up in nutrition, because they believe that it can do these mythical, magical things and so on, but it doesn't make you make a decision.
No.
Like in a sport, it doesn't make you think quicker than the other individual that you're competing against. It may make you be able to have more endurance because you fueled your body correctly and adequately. But at the end of the day, if they beat you within like 30 seconds of a UFC fight, does it matter?
Yeah. And that's down to, again, skill and technical ability.
Yeah, exactly. So even though it can be very easy to get caught up on nutrition, it's not the be all and end all of one specific thing of a sport, and that's my kind of like target in terms of this, and have a look at. There are a couple unmentioned conflicts of interest. I'm going to read these off because I don't remember these off the top of my head. But the unmentioned conflicts of interest for game changers, right? So you've got James Cameron as the executive producer. He has produced Titanic, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Avatar. Really good movies. So what does he know about nutrition? But he's also the founder and CEO of Veganuary Foods. I don't know how to say that. But which is an organic pea protein company.
I believe he's invested. Does it say how much he's invested?
Well, I know he's got money to invest because he was a producer on Titanic, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Avatar. So
I think I want to say something like 80 million US dollars, something like that. A lot of money into this company. But yeah.
Right, I'll keep reading.
Okay.
Susie Amis Cameron. I'm taking that she must be James Cameron's spouse or half or whatever. Again, executive producer. Could be a sister. I don't know. Could be.
True.
And she's also the founder of Veganuary Foods. Jackie Chan was a producer. He's an actor and a vegan. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think we know that he's to do with it.
Yeah.
So, actor, part owner of Ladder. So, Ladder is a supplement company that sells some vegan products. So you can see the business incentive that they have there. Now, I do like to kind of like touch on this point as well. Now, when I did a podcast with Dr. Scott Stevens, I talked about this particular chapter that's in his book, which is a section called Ways of Knowing, which, again, for any individual that's listening to this and that comes on our courses, should have instilled in them. It's kind of knowing who is telling you information, and understanding what's their sway on it, what's the reason why they're saying it. Do they actually know what they're talking about? If Big Bob in a gym that's geared up to his eyeballs tells you that eating this food not past this time frame it'll make you big and bulky, is that a good way of knowing and understanding food and nutrition?
Credible information.
Very credible information, especially when he is a drug dealer as well. So there's particular ways of knowing. Now, what this documentary did was they threw a lot of doctors at you. They threw a lot of professors at you. They threw a lot of industry experts within their field, which presents the viewers with this kind of idea that this is a good way of knowing. This is right. I should listen to what these guys are saying. Yeah. So I'm going to reel them off to you now. So virtually all the experts interviewed in the film sell vegan products, books, or profit from veganism. Starting with Dr. Dean Ornish, author of Undo It. Now, he also, which is a book, vegan book, he leads vegan retreats and sells online programs and is a developer of the Ornish diet, which is a very low fat, high carb and low protein diet. Now, think about that. Very low fat, high carb, low protein diet. What's that? What would be good food sources in order to eat that diet? Next one, Dr. Aaron Spitz, author of the Penis Book, which, you hear this correctly, a plant-based book on penile function.
Jesus Christ.
So that's Dr. Aaron Spitz, right? Next one, Dr. Robert Vogel, author of the Pritkin Edge, which is, again, a plant-based book. We then have Dr. Caldwell Esseltine, author and of Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, which is a cookbook, a plant-based cookbook. And then we have Dr. James Loomis, contributor to forksoverknives.com, which includes plant-based meal planning, and Dr. Kim Williams, who is a vegan cardiologist. So I kind of... Oh, sorry, one more. Dr. Columbus Batiste, which is a contributor to forksoverknives.com. Now, can you see how everybody that they interviewed within that... This is what I meant by my previous statement, that it's a very single-minded, tunnel-visioned documentary, in a sense that everybody that they've interviewed has a bias or has a kind of conflict of interest in terms of veganism. Yeah. They either profit from it, they either write about it.
Advocates of it.
They've got that advocation of it. There wasn't one... I didn't see any one counter-argument within that.
No, that's, again, what people have said, where it's 100% people who are either vegan, like you've just said, that they're involved in it in some way. It's how they earn a living or how they focus their expertise. Yeah. But there's no one else to say, well, this is my opinion, what do you think? Yeah, it's not picking a handful of pro and then against. It's all the people are saying you should do this. Yeah, exactly. And which leads me on to the next thing that... The final point that I want to make, right? Well, it's 2 points. 2 points on this and we'll close the podcast. Right, final 2 points. At the end of the day, I want to know the final textbook definition. Not what somebody tells me. I want to know the textbook definition of what a plant-based diet is. Because the term plant-based, to me, means that your meals are based around plants. Yeah. Not a plant-only diet. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not coming off the back of this podcast, and I don't want everybody to think that Ben Newbold demonises veganism and this documentary, because I don't. What I do is I like the fact that it's opened up people's minds in order to eat a more healthily plant-based food products. Do you know what I mean? And kind of live off the land a little bit more. So I don't mind that. But I do mind the point that when... What's his face? UFC fighter? Nate. Oh, Mike. No. Or whatever his name was. I've got rid of it now. Sorry.
His name again. James Wilkes. I'll way off with Mike.
I just said
So what I do get an issue with is when James Wilkes is telling me that the same amount that you can get the same amount of protein from a peanut butter sandwich compared to eating 3 ounces of steak. That's not true. Well, watch it. It's literally within the first 15 to 20 minutes of the documentary. If you believe that you're going to eat a peanut butter sandwich and it shows you the image, 2 slices of bread with peanut butter in the middle of it, compared to 3 ounces of steak, that's how much fucking peanut butter's in that in order to get the same amount of protein. And if you wanted the same amount of protein in there, how much peanut butter would you need to eat? So calorifically, you could eat around about 3,500 calories in one peanut butter sandwich if you wanted the same amount of protein compared to 3 ounces of steak. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many calories would you need to eat in peanut butter, in a peanut butter sandwich?
So 3 ounces of steak is 85 grams, because obviously that's what we don't really use ounces.
Yeah.
And it's just over 21 grams of protein.
Right, yeah.
So 85 grams peanut butter calories. So if matching the same thing is 500 calories.
So, right, so I'm way off then.
Yeah, but then you couple that with the bread.
Yeah.
You couple that with the did you say peanut butter jelly, did you?
So, no, just a peanut butter. Peanut butter.
Yeah. But then obviously that's not saying 85 protein. We know how much content of protein. So it's the same. So you in terms of calories, you're probably doubling the calories.
You're probably doubling the calories from your peanut butter sandwich plus your bread, compared to what you're eating as a actual steak.
Yeah.
So, is that necessarily an optimal food choice for an individual?
It depends if you care more about what you're eating rather than the amount you're eating.
Well, exactly, and I mean, I've never said to somebody, right, I want you to have a good protein source after this workout. Go eat a peanut butter sandwich. No. I've never referred anybody to that.
I would never even look at a peanut butter and go, that's a protein source.
You don't, do you?
It is, but you wouldn't think that's a protein source.
In your head, it's a source of fat.
Yeah, healthy fats, yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose because of their view and the amount of options they've got for protein, they're going to look at foods potentially differently, aren't they?
But yeah, I think some of the comparisons that they made in that are very, very sketchy. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be different to be heard now, and that's very much what this documentary did. Would I recommend it for people to watch? Would I recommend it for my clients to watch? If I had a normal, happily healthy client, answer to that would be no, because I wouldn't want them to be swayed so much into a propaganda documentary.
Yeah.
Like I said, and I said it at the start of this, a real documentary takes opinions from both sides, presents evidence, and then lets the viewers formulate their own opinions. I've heard so many people be brainwashed after the end of this.
Yeah, so far. It shouldn't be a documentary. It should be a advertisement as why you should be vegan.
It's a film,
in
my opinion, than a documentary.
Yeah.
But anyway, you've heard us rant on there for I don't know how long now, but we're going to close this podcast up here.
Cool.
Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, guys. Give it a rating, and also like and subscribe to our YouTube channels. Also like our Facebook page. We're trying to get a good bit of content out this from the turn of this new year. Yeah. That can be my resolution.
More content,
more podcasts. Make an effort.
There it is.
But anyway, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you.